What does the president of a rodeo association do?
Okay, what I do is I fill out all the paperwork for the rodeo. You have to have paperwork for PRCA. I fill out all the paperwork for PRCA. Make sure the insurance is in place. I make sure everything's ready so we can put it on the rodeo, and make sure that we get the barrel races, we get the time set, the slack, what time our rodeo is going to be, what the dates are, all have to be right. And then we have to send in all the paperwork. We got to get an acceptance from the PRCA. We don't get to have the rodeo just because we had it before. You have to be accepted every year.
So what made you want to become the president of a rodeo association?
I'm still trying to figure that out. No, my main reason is I love working with kids, and like my wife's head of the Queens program, and I just really love the younger kids coming up right now, and I want to keep the tradition alive. The tradition is getting so, there's not as many people competing in the rodeos anymore, and I just really wanted to get involved and try to keep the tradition going.
Right.
And because I love rodeo, and I've always cowboyed and did all that, I branded and everything else, and it seems like people are getting away from it. They don't realize what used to go on, and now they think it's all going to be done by tractors. And they don't use the horses anymore. A lot of them use the four-wheelers, but there's still a lot of things you got to use by horseback.
Right.
And I like to keep that old tradition alive more than the new. And I think that if we can keep that alive, we'll keep rodeo going. And there's so many things that they want to quit. There's so many people that are out there trying to quit rodeo. They don't want to have rodeo anymore. It's all cruel to animals. But it's been around for centuries, and that's how we've always got our livestock and everything. And I feel that if I don't do it, who else will? And there's so many young kids that don't understand what's going on. And I love to get new kids that don't know the first thing about a horse and show them what's going on with the horse and get them involved. The more we can get the younger kids involved with rodeo, I feel that's our lifeline. If we lose all these young kids and don't have nobody to follow in my footsteps, say, or you guys' footsteps, because you're next coming up, if we just let it go and don't teach anybody about it, the old traditions are going to die. Mm-hmm. And I just don't want to see that. I think the tradition of cowboys and stuff has to stay alive, because that's what formed all this stuff, all the cattle ranches and all this other stuff. People don't understand how it works.
Right.
And I just like to keep rodeo alive, and that's my main thing, is to keep the old traditions alive and want people to see what it's like.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the only way I can really do it.
Yeah.
Is by staying involved some way. Seeing these young kids, how they go. We go to these different conventions and stuff we go to in different rodeos, and just see how they gleam and how great they are. Like we went to Hall of Fame, and they just had a ball there. These girls are just awesome. And they're the ones actually right now, I feel our queens and princess and all them, they're the ones that are out spreading the word a little bit more than the cowboys, because the cowboys are competing and they really don't have time to go out and just get this stuff. The queens and princesses and the young people that aren't rodeoing, they're the ones that are trying to keep helping us keep the tradition alive. And if we lose that, then I think we'll lose rodeo.
Now, when did you get involved with rodeo?
Oh, Jesus. My grandpa used to take me when I was about 6 years old to all the rodeos and stuff, and I always said I was going to be a cowboy and do this and do that, because he sold his farm, and he moved to the city, but all my friends had farms, so I was always running. Every time I got a chance to go to the farm or something, I was out there. I never was home. And when I got old enough to drive, I was never home. I was always at my friends' ranches and stuff, staying with them and working their farms and working cows, and I just started doing it, and I just loved it, and I didn't like living in the city. And people say, oh, if you don't live on a farm or a ranch, if you live in the city, you're not a cowboy, you're not a cowgirl. It's not that. It's what's in your heart. It's what you believe in and how you feel. People say, oh, you lived in the city. You don't. It's not that. It's what you feel in your heart. It's so strange people say that, because if it's in your heart and you love that kind of life, there's nothing to hold you from doing it. And it's not what you know. Like if you're from a city, if some city kid comes up and wants to learn something, I'll teach you whatever I know. I'll teach anybody what I know. I don't care if you're a cowboy, nothing matters to me. I will teach anybody. If they're willing to learn and they want to learn about it and how it works, come on up and I'll teach you. Or I'll help you. And if I can't help you, I sure will find somebody that can. I love working with the kids. And if they want to learn to rope, come on up, we'll rope. And I do whatever I can. Mm-hmm. So that's what got me involved.
Right. Now, what events did you do? When did you actually get into the sport of rodeo?
Okay, I started rodeoing when I was about 17.
Okay.
Because my mom wouldn't let me ride. I wanted to ride bulls and bareback horses. Okay, I rode bareback horses a little bit. I didn't get into bareback horses as much as I did the bulls. I rode the bulls a little bit more, and that's because my buddy had cows and stuff. We used to ride them. So we practiced on them, and then I started riding bulls. And I got my PRCA permit in the 70s. And I rode a bull up at Steamboat Springs up in Aspen. up at Snowmass, I think it was called arena. But I rode up there and I rode a national finals bulls up there, and I hit a rock in the arena and it twisted a vertebrae in my back and cracked my ribs. My first rodeo out with my permit. So I was out for a while because I lost the feeling on the left side. So then I went back and I rode 2 more bulls. And then I rode one at Adams County Fair. It used to be PRCA, and I rode one at Adams County Fair, and it bucked me out, broke my hand, broke my arm, and messed up my back again. So then the doctor sort of gave me this thing that, do you want to walk? I said, well, yeah, I want to walk. And I've had back trouble ever since. But finally I decided it wasn't worth being paralyzed from the waist down. And I was really getting worried about it, because when it happened and I couldn't walk, it scares you. And I started teaching then. After I started teaching, I went to teach some kids at Little Britches in Brighton, Colorado. I taught a bunch of little kids how to ride. We had a buck and barrel. We didn't have the machines back then. But we was teaching the kids from 4-H and stuff like that, and the Little Britches. And I started teaching them. I just really loved it, and I stayed involved. That's why I stayed involved with rodeo, because since I couldn't do it, I wanted to help other kids do it. And that's why I stayed involved.
Now, before your injury, you know, do you have a most memorable ride?
I had one ride on a big bull up in, I think it was up in Saratoga, Wyoming, and it was one of my. I got a second, and I was really proud of that ride. The bull was really a good bull. He was a national finals bull, and I covered him. I was pretty proud of that. It was right before I got hurt. Barebacks, I loved riding barebacks. I mean, I had some horses that I just loved. I remember the one I remember the most. I didn't ride him. He was a runaway. This horse took off at a dead run to Adams County. He took straight across the arena, straight for the fence, and I was laying back as far as I could. I go, I know he's going to stop. He's just going to run and stop. And that's the main ride I remember bareback, because he ran. And I go, oh no. So I leaned back so far that my head was on his butt, and I just said, go ahead and stop. I'm not going anywhere. And he stopped so hard. I went over his head, hit the fence, rolled down the fence, and I'm laying on the ground with my head. And my buddy comes running out and goes, he wants a rewrite. And I was laying, I said, I don't want nothing. I just want to be able to get back up and get back to and I got a rewrite. I didn't do too good on the rewrite. When I rodeo, it was more the people I met. You meet so many great people in rodeo that it's unreal. And they're all your friend. I mean, it's not like that when I go to rodeo, it wasn't, I was meeting new people, but they were just friends that I haven't met yet. Is that the way I felt about it? And I still feel that way. At the rodeo I put on, the rodeos I go to, I feel everybody there is people, friends that I haven't met yet. I'll help anybody. If you have problems at a rodeo, if you need something, if you need a horse, if your horse goes down, you need a horse. Oh, my horse is, I let, just like when Sarah, if somebody's horse goes down the road and they need a horse to ride, I got 2 of them, and you can use one of mine. Because I'm not going to let them not be able to compete.
Right. And where do you think you'd be, you know, if you didn't have any rodeo experience or animals or anything in your life? Where do you think you'd be right now? Would you be the man you are?
No, I think I'd be pretty sick. No, I don't know what I'd be. I don't even know what I'd be doing if it wasn't for this. Because I just love my horses. Are my #1 fans. I mean, I love them. And my dogs. They're with me all the time, usually. And but I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for my animals and this lifestyle for me is just the way I want to live my life. And I'd probably just be living in the mountains somewhere and just I'd be hunting and fishing and just doing the things that I really love. But rodeo is where I want to be, and I want to be around animals. I want to be around horses. I want to be around other cowboys. I want to be around young kids. I want to teach them what I know. Like I said, I'm hoping I'm teaching young kids to love something that I've always loved.
You think that's super important, is passing the tradition on?
I really do. And I hope the kids nowadays have the same ambitions and the same attitude. I just try to teach you life experiences that I've had, and the way I've done it, and the way I went when I lived on the ranches and stuff. Like you bring in hay, and it's just, I love the smell of when you first cut hay. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's something that you once you do it, you just want to do it more. I love this way of life, and like I said, if I could go and live on a ranch again, way away from here with nobody around for miles, and just live by myself in a little house and just go out and move cows all day, that's what I do.
How often do you work with the stock contractors at the PRCA and the PBR like that?
The most right now I work with Benefiel, and I help with the Jefferson County Rodeo, the Jeffco Rodeo, and I work with Jesse Hill on that one. I've worked with Jesse Hill quite a bit, but Benefiel is the one I work with for our rodeo. He's the one that does our rodeo for us. And Chad Berger and Joe Highland, I went with Joe Highland, we bucked some bulls out together and stuff. And I sort of spread around, but right now Benion's the main one I work with because he does our rodeo. And we just got a 3-year contract again with him this year. I got to get signed in a couple weeks. Knowing the contractors and just, I like to keep in touch with other contractors, because if Binion thinks I'm only talking to him, then he thinks he's got you over a barrel. But I like to, you learn a lot from each contractor on what they think are. I'm always asking what we can do to improve our rodeo from other stock contractors. And Binion, for a while, he brought us stock that wasn't really up to par. But we finally gave him a 1-year contract only, and he had to prove his stock every year. And after we did that, now we're going to go back to a 3-year, because he knows that we're not going to take stock of these horses and stuff that aren't going to buck. Mm-hmm. So you got to watch, and you learn a lot from other stock contractors too. And plus, since I've got a couple bulls, I've learned how to flank them, and I learned different things on that, and different things I can do to help my bulls, and I like to sort of keep in touch with all of them.